Hi, it's Russ from Pro Tools Expert, and I've just downloaded the latest version of the UAD software, and part of what comes with it is the Softube amp models. Now, there are three in the series. There is the vintage amp on my right, and we'll look at that in some detail in a moment. Then there's the metal amp room, and then there is the bass amp room as well. And I have to say, these are some of my favourite amp sims anyway. If you saw a recent review I did of another amp sim, I'm not massively fans of them. But if anybody makes a great one, then it's Softube. And the whole series is fantastic. So to now have it on UAD is fantastic for a couple of reasons. If you already use the UAD platform and you already use these, then you're going to take processor load off. And I've already done some tests. I've done the same tracks and I've put them in Softube native and then I've put them into UAD. And you're getting about 10% to 15% of load back off your Pro Tools system if you're using them in this way. Secondly, of course, if you're using the Apollo interface, then you can have zero latency guitar tracking. Now, if you're tracking guitars, now there's nothing worse than having some latency. So basically, you can have your Pro Tools rig running at 1024 samples, and you can go through the console application on the Apollo, and then you can track the guitars at zero latency through these amp emulations, which is fantastic. Basically, it's like having a load of great guitar amps in your studio. And as I say, not a huge fan often of guitar amp emulations because they often will create fizzy, horrible guitar sound. So I've put some stuff down guitar-wise just to give you an example of all three, and I'll go through them. So what we'll do first, we will look at the vintage amp here. This one here. And I've got a guitar down, so let's solo that and see what we've got. Now, of course, for fear of being sued, all these companies, they will never say what they are, but basically, this is a Marshall JCM 800. This is a Fender, 1960s Fender, Vibrolux type amp, or those kind of amps, and then this is an AC30 from the 60s. Very nice. So if you have to be very careful. You can't even virtually make them look like them either for fear of being sued by the brands. But they are what they are. So as I say, you've got this big stack, and as you can see, what I'm doing with my mouse, I can drag left and right, and these work exactly the same way as they do in the native versions. And you drag left and right, then you have all the controls for the amp up here. And then the microphone's cool. You can move the mic in and out, and you can move it on and off axis as well, just by moving your mouse. You can see that doing that there, which is really nice. If I just play this and play. Let's go off to the next one. This is my particular favourite in the vintage, perhaps because I'm a Brit, but it's a nice Vox AC30. Nice trem. So we can mix those channels as well. Move the mics around. Cool thing is as well is if you've already got a guitar amp down, you just want to use the cab. Well, you can amp bypass. So I've not got that's now going through just the cab of the amp. Or we can bypass the cab and just use the amp. Obviously then the mics won't work. So there's that one. Let's move on to the next one, which is the metal amp room. Now the metal amp room is different. It has two cabs, two amps and cabs, and two cabs, two mics on each, and then you can balance the mics. So, and just as the other one. Now you have two things. You can use just one mic, or the second mic. Put the two together. You can mix them in mono or use them stereo. That looks like a Marshall cab again. And you've got phase invert as well. Now again, what you can do as well, you can bypass the amp and just use the cab. Gain that up a bit. Have deep bass. You want to do those really good chunky kind of sounds, and then you got scoop on the mid. And you got depth and presence. And I say what I love about them is they're not very fizzy. Often amp emulations can be really fizzy, but these aren't fizzy. So I'm mixing two there, and I say let's put those two together now. Now the third one is we have a bass guitar amp, which is my go-to. Often when I do mixes, I'll literally just put this on the bass and that's it. Call me lazy if you want, but it's so cool. We've got an amp head at the top here, which I think is kind of Ampeg style. And then we have, again, different cabs we can use and mics. We can, as you see there, we can do the usual thing of moving in and on and off axis and stuff like that. And there's even a nice little cool little baby amp there that's great for kind of dirty bass sound. And so that's all the stuff there. So we have the amp head there. Then we have some DI. That's as if you DI in the bass. And with a tone and a high cut and a low cut. And then a limiter. And then an output control as well. And we can balance between the two of those. And sometimes you'll get phase issues, so you can use phase invert. So if I go to one of the coolest ones, is I often use these clean fat settings. So there's original. So there's the amp. Here's the DI. Low cut. So you can put some real good, hear the bottom end in that. Put the two together. And sometimes the phase invert just helps too. Let's try another, the big. You can hear it gets really, really. And then the little baby. And again, cab bypass and amp bypass. The two together now. See the three of those together now. In fact, let's put them in. I've got a little drum loop in as well. check them out. This is what we had originally. And look, because we're using UAD, the CPU usage is virtually zero. Fantastic. So check them out. If you're tracking guitars, then my advice is these are the ones, especially if you're using an Apollo. These are, if you can track guitars with Apollo, these are a must-have addition to your studio arsenal. I'm going to give this editor's choice because I'm going to use them all the time, and that's what an editor's choice award means. Is would the editor use it? Yes, he would. And so editor's choice for this one. Love the guys at Softube. Love the guys at UAD. This is a marriage made in heaven. Check them out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon.